Today we have ours for the taking, with this being the deployment. We have Sylvaneth versus Cities of Sigmar. Although I don't normally like to do order versus order, my only other non-order army is Beasts right now, currently painted. So we're going to try some Sylvaneth versus Cities, because Knife-Ears are always jerks anyway. Quick note, I do proxy my cities. These used to be Bretonnian men-at-arms. I'm proxying them for Free Guild guard with shields. I also have some Bretonnian peasant bowmen, which I use as crossbowmen, Free Guild crossbowmen. I have a D&D character here for my general, as well as a lady from Bretonnia as a battle mage. Turn one for Cities. They ended up being defender. Sylvaneth deployed first and chose Cities to go first. So with that, Cities kind of moved on up. I do want to preface that I probably didn't do a very good job deploying either of these because I was worried about shooting from both sides. Gotrek was over here hiding for a little bit, but then he came on out, seeing that he's more than 24 inches away from those Gossamer archers, which is what he's worried about. The Relictor came on over, grabbed that. This chariot failed their 10-inch charge with the reroll. Moved a bunch of Cities guys on up. The battle tactic that they chose was Cunning Manoeuvre, getting that general on up into that objective there. Some kit spells were cast. They've got Thaw's Protection as well as Warding Band on this unit of 20, as well as this one having Mystic Shield. He failed to get the sun out, but was able to come up here, grab this objective, and failed to charge on into them as well. Sylvaneth, turn one. They chose Gaining Momentum, which they were able to complete by gaining this objective on over here and running on up with them to gain that one from the Lord Relictor. They chose to destroy the chariot, which they obviously did by the shooting attacks here. Durthu was able to pop off 4 wounds on the chariot, and these guys were able to do another 8 mortals to the chariot. They ended up killing it outright, even though they did do all-out defense on the chariot from a free CP, and they also redeployed them so that Durthu wouldn't charge, but oh well, it is what it is. The Kurnoth Hunters with bows did some shot everything into that unit there, and only had like 5 hits, and all the wounds were 1s and 2s, so they did nothing there. This guy over here was able to summon a tree right in the middle, so that was good. And then these guys decided to charge in since that chariot was dead. Ended up dealing 14 mortals, rolling 7 6s. It was pretty nuts. Ended up killing him, but on a 2-up, he soared high, came back with 3 wounds. Or wasn't destroyed with 3 wounds. Still has Mystic Shield on him, and Cities was able to gain priority, so they will go first again. Well, 40 crossbow shots into those Gossamer archers. 25 ups for these Gossamer archers. Not making many. These guys didn't have 6 within range, but 11 will be going into the Kurnoth Hunters over here, and the other 6, or 3, are going to go into them. So 6 shots there, 22 into there. The 6 into the Gossamer archers didn't do anything, but we do have 14 3-ups for them. Making quite a few, but that might be a dead Kurnoth. Gotrek Gurnison made his charge, made it with a 10-inch, piling in 3, and he's going to fight some Kurnoth Hunters, who are going to all-out defense. Cities of Sigmar turn 2. being a little irate that their chariot died, they chose eye for an eye for their battle tactic. Getting it as Gotrek Gurnison went ahead and killed those Kurnoth hunters with ease. They ended up gaining 7 points this round because they held all the objectives as well as the home one over here. They ran with these guys, skirting on the outskirts and able to get 10 models on this objective as opposed to their 8. With that, it is going to be Sylvaneth turn 2. Turn 2 for Sylvaneth. They chose eye for an eye, being irritated that the cities killed those Kurnoth hunters. So they went ahead and moved Durthu using the paths of his war scroll. Threw him there. He was able to make a 10-inch charge. Was able to get a spell off here into the guard, dealing 1 mortal, and then these guys charged in, killed the guard, slaughtered them. Shots were taken for the Kurnoth hunters into this unit over here, dealing about 6 wounds to them, weakening them a bit. And the Branch Wraith was able to cast the Verdant Blessing or whatnot, gaining a model back here. They tried to rally, was not able to rally. They shot at Gertrick Gurnison and was able to deal 3 wounds to him. In the end, they gained 1 point and their battle tactic. Unfortunately, Durthu was within 3 inches of the battle mage and was able to kill her with 2 swings of his sword. His sword hits went into the general, which only 1 hit, and on a 6-up, he saved. And the other 2 impaling talons went into the guard, getting 1s on both of them for wounds. So he whiffed that one. The guard in turn and the general did 5 wounds back to Durthu. So Durthu won, the Sylvaneth won priority, and they will be taking turn. Turn 3 for Sylvaneth. They chose Eradicate Trespassers, wanting to kill that guard unit. They shot a bunch of bows at them and was able to kill, I think, 6 or 8 of them. Durthu was able to kill a bunch down to 3 guys. They ended up doing an all-out defense and able to save 3 out of his 4 sword attacks against him, rolling 2 5s and a 6. It was a good thing I charged the Kurnoth in just to be sure, because they were able to finish him off with just 1 wound extra. So they almost didn't get the tactic. It was a good thing that they did it this turn anyway, because Warding Brand did fail on turn 2 to go off, so they weren't taking mortals back. And at that point, they did gain their battle tactic. They gained the objective 1, as well as having a Gleason champion on there, and they gained this objective 1 over there. The Gossipman Archers were not as good planking onto Gotrek Gurnison, but we'll see what turn 3 has in store for cities. After 70 shots with those bowmen, Durthu is left with 1 wound. His 2-up save could only save him so much. Durthu, being as wounded as he was, threw everything into the general, only doing 1 wound. The Griffin had to fight last, as he did stomp him. But the general here on foot was able to take out Durthu, giving a mortal on his sword. End of turn 3 for cities. They were able to make their battle tactic, which was gaining momentum, gaining that one, killing Durthu, and gaining that objective on over there. The Griffin piled in, but whiffed on his sword as well as his beak, but was able to kill 1 of the Kurnoth and injure 1. The Kurnoth was able to do 1 damage to the Griffin and 1 mortal to the general. At that point, we're rolled for priority, and right now Sylvaneth has taken it again. So it'll be Sylvaneth turn 4 soon. They also rallied these guys during the heroic phase, getting 2 back as well. These 3 Kurnoth unleashed their bows into the general here, but only deal 2 wounds to him. How can you miss? He was 3 feet from you. At the end of the combat phase, these two do trampling charge. So on a 4 up, they deal mortal to that general, and he dies. Oh, he does immortal. Gosh, rage. Let's see if he survives. Oh, he does. With 3 more wounds left. End of turn 4 for Sylvaneth. They were able to desecrate their lands because they already had this terrain piece last turn with these guys. Unfortunately, they were too far away from here, so I figured to move them on up, and then they can bounce around next turn depending upon where they need to go. They have that objective as well as the home, giving them 2. They were unable to take this one. This guy is just outside. I was gonna have her charge in, but then decided not to, thinking that general right underneath the wing there was gonna die, but unfortunately he didn't, and they were actually able to take and kill one of the Kurnoth hunters as well. These guys over here shot at the Relictor, who had a +1 because he was in cover, but they only dealt 2 mortals to him. And so he was alive with 1 wound left there. They did take the objective though. Again, that's going to probably be 5 points for Sylvaneth at turn 4, and we'll see what Cities has to offer. Well, she was just eaten by that griffin. Let's see if she is fueled by Gersh rage. She is, with 2 wounds back. This turn for Cities, they wanted to try to do something a little bit crazy and pick a matter of honor. Wanted this general to run on over here and kill their general. Unfortunately, though, this unit of archers totally whiffed and only dealt 1 damage to those Kurnoth hunters, whereas these guys were able to finish off 1 and again another 1. So, in the end, Kurnoth hunters are dead. The Cities gain 2 points for holding center objective with the Galatian champion, and do not have either side here. Gotrek Gurney son went ahead and charged on into these Gossamer archers. Had to make like 6 saves for his wards. He didn't take any wounds, but these guys bounced and said na 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 boo boo to you. Decided to do Cunning Manoeuvre. This one cast the spite spell that they normally have on them. The general was able to heal himself back to full, but he took 4 mortals from that spell, and then the griffin took another 5 on that spell as well, as they rolled a 7 initially. We rolled cast for a 10 and rolled 10 dice with 5 stealing mortals to the units around. These guys bamped on over here, but these guys were actually able to do something and killed the griffin, unfortunately leaving them too far away from the general. The general was charged by this guy here, figuring we could probably kill him. He's only had 1 wound left. He all had defense, was able to rebuff the first 3 attacks, and then 1 attack was rolled with the little minion, and the little minion was actually able to kill him with him failing his 3-up save. Very, very close call for the Sylvaneth there. They gained 7 points by having that objective with Galatian Galatian Vet champion, and then this one, the home objective of theirs, and that one over there. We'll see what Cities can do now at this point. Turn 5 for Cities. These guys ran on up, grabbing that objective from them, getting 1 point there. These guys went ahead and shot into the Gossamer archers, killing them, thereby gaining their grand strategy. Gotrek Gurney son had to run on up and get this thing for desecrate their lands, instead of being able to charge into these archers. Fortunately for Cities, they gained their grand strat by not having any enemy units in their deployment. And with that, it is a Cities victory with 27-25. Getting that grand strat for them was actually able to clinch her. They were down by 1 point in the end, but the grand strategy bumped them back on up. Unfortunately for Sylvaneth, for some reason I took the grand strat to have more enemy units in the enemy's deployment zone, or more friendly units in the enemy's deployment zone than the enemy does, thinking that with their mobility they could be able to pull that off pretty fast or easy. But unfortunately, that was not the case. Probably would have been if the Gossamids stuck around and I moved these guys a little bit better instead of having them way back there. All in all, pretty crazy game with all the shooting that was involved.